Looks like we've got a little Cub Scout down there. We welcome you to our city council. We hope you enjoy it, as we do with all of you that are here. Thank you for coming. I've asked Councilman Segmo if he'll offer the invocation, and Councilman Hudson if he'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this evening and for the beautiful weather we enjoyed today. And give thee thanks for the area in which we live and the good people with whom we live here in this community. We ask that thou wilt bless us tonight as we consider the city's business and the business of the citizens. Help us that we might have clear minds and give the issues the thought and consideration they deserve, and we might do so with an understanding of the impact that they have on those who live in this community and our neighbors and friends. We thank you for the many blessings we have. Ask that thou would bless those amongst our community who are struggling or suffering at this time and watch over them. Ask that thou would continue to watch over us as a community and bless us and guide us as we go about our lives. And we ask for these things and say this in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Please stand and join me in pledging allegiance to our flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate that. We'll move ahead with item number 1, approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as outlined.
Second it.
Motion and a second.
Councilman Turk, aye.
Segmiller, aye.
Hudson, aye.
Staley, aye. Truman, aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Our agenda is approved. Item 2, announcements. City manager is, we're not going to do C, right? Okay.
I'm sorry, I thought he might be here, but I know Chief Keith is out today.
Okay, we will bypass item A and go to item B, which is an introduction of our 2013 Miss Washington City Royalty. I know we have our princess here. Come on up. Let me introduce Monique Leroy. Why don't you come up and introduce yourself, Monique? And you know your attendants' names and everybody, why don't you?
Yeah, I don't know how well I can pronounce.
I know.
Yeah, so I'm Monique Leroy, and then first attendant is Taylor
Jesenowski.
Jesenowski, and then my second attendant is Briley. I don't know.
Barrow.
And then Miss Spirit is Lauren.
Mickey.
Mickey.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. And are you helping us out with Cotton Days?
Yes.
Good. All right. We look forward to
Where
it.
in the city do you live, Monique?
I live in Coral Canyon.
Great.
Congratulations.
That's awesome. Next Thursday, we have a fishing derby right in Coral Canyon, and we always use your royalty there. So
Okay.
put that on your calendar, will you?
Okay.
Yeah, bring your pole.
Yeah, bring the worms. Monique, congratulations. We look forward to working with you this year. Okay, item 3, declaration of abstentions and conflicts. Any to declare, gentlemen? Item 4, the consent agenda. To approve our minutes from the city council meetings of 4/9/13 and 4/10/13.
I'll make a motion that we approve our minutes from the city council meetings of April 9th and April 10th, 2013.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Truman, aye.
Staley, aye.
Hudson, aye.
Segmiller, aye.
Turk, aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item 5, public hearing and related ordinances. A public hearing for consideration to approve a zone change application Z-1304, requesting to change the present zone from R1-6, single-family residential, to PUD, planned unit development, located approximately 50 East 400 North, applicant Lane Matthews.
Thank you, Mayor. This may look a little bit familiar to the council. It was just a couple months ago, a proposal of such was with you with one more unit. So the application is for a request for a zone change of approximately 0.7588 acres. The requested change is from the current R16, which is single-family residential, 6,000 square foot minimum, to a proposed PUD townhome zoning designation. As stated, originally, this particular parcel was previously approved for a PUD back in May of 2006. But because of the economy, that never did come about. The current owner, Mr. Matthews, purchased the property and brought back that proposal for the same 7 units a couple months back. Planning Commission approved the request, came to the City Council and was denied for that request. So the applicant has gone back, done a little math, added some extra parking and eliminated a unit. It is now down to a proposed 6 two-story complex, still the same design.
So it's a 4-unit and a 2-unit?
This does reflect, the planning commissioners wanted,
So that's the
I
fourplex?
saw, this is a better floor plan, this one came to me after your package went out. These are the elevations, and they requested, the planning commission, this particular stonework that I kind of, sorry for my bad sketch on yours, but that's what I was trying to reflect. This shows it so much better. But that's what that was trying to reflect for the elevations on the project. So
So
there
the
would be
planning
a,
commission wanted that stonework?
they asked that the stonework be on those pop-outs up top. That's,
Detailed.
and they voted on it, so.
Yeah.
Council always has a choice to either
Okay,
uphold
my 2
or.
cents on this, probably premature, but I would just leave that up to the owner.
We'll get, yeah, we'll get down. I just wanted to put the elevations up at this point.
Well, if the
Um,
planning commission made that a requirement, we don't really have that. Do we have the, I guess we
Sure you do.
We can
Yeah, you
revise
always
it.
have the chance to uphold, deny, or uphold it with modification. So you can
Planning
do.
commissions can be a lot more creative without thinking that they force it on somebody. Make you guys make a hard decision.
Getting back to report, the surrounding zoning on this particular property is R16, north, east, south, west, in all directions. So the council's familiar, I think, with this particular project. Again, this is just bringing back the changes down to 6 units, so there will be the 1 fourplex on the east side of the property and then a duplex on the west. The additional parking has been brought up. I think I counted 10 units on site. Also, just to make note, the commission did review this. They recommended unanimously approval of the Z-1304 zone change request from the R16 to the PUD townhome. They did, with the findings and subject to the conditions, they added 2 conditions. One of them is the stonework. The other one is that it always be required, I think that's number 11, at least 1 vehicle must be able to be parked inside the garage of each unit at all times.
And if I remember correctly, parking was a big issue the last time, because we talked about if we have 2 of them out in the driveway and then you have visitors, where are they gonna park? And we talked about maybe having a requirement that they have to leave the visitor parking open, and I know he deleted 1 unit to add more parking there, which,
And that's the
good.
thing, I think the last proposal had 6 or 7 parking spaces. This one has 10. Actually, it could end up being 11. I will not be surprised if right there where my pin is, that someone will probably park, which will be fine. It's not in the way, so it's possibly 11 parking stalls for 6 units, so.
Drew, I can't read, what is that, where that unit was deleted? What is that, yeah, that open space, what is that?
It says grass area is what it says. I know it's hard, sorry about that. But that's what it,
Now I can read it.
make it bigger.
I tried on mine and I couldn't.
I know, sometimes the reed didn't pick them up, but yeah, it's a grass area to be. And again, it just opened up a little more open space there. They do have required, he's got the play area, will have equipment, a sand lot area there for that, to meet that recreational on this particular PUD. Also, all the backyards are kind of private, which is kind of unique for some, PUDs don't often have that. They will have fencing there, so each one will have basically their own backyard. The only one that really takes a hit, of course, is this lot number 3, because of the tension will go up in there a bit. But a lot of people have xeriscape in their things anyway, so that one will probably just have gravel in it, but it does have still some grass area associated. They'll all have private backyards, plus the area up here with all the grass, etc. So with that, I don't know if there's any questions. I think unless you have anything specific for this particular proposal, and again, that they'd have added parking, that he felt that was, why, well, it was the reason why it was denied, I think, was one of the reasons that did. And so he has eliminated one of those units and brought back more parking, so. So again, and I'll be,
Any
if there's no other
questions?
questions, then.
Okay, thank you, Drew. This is a public hearing, so we open it to the public. Anybody want to come up and talk? You're welcome to come up. Please state your name.
So I'm Lane Matthews, I'm the developer here, so back again. Nice to see y'all again. Just wanted to mention off the top, along with what Drew had mentioned, we really did, based upon the feedback we got from, the council last time, and I know specifically, Councilman Turek, he had some concerns about the parking, so we went back and looked at that and, looked at, cutting down one unit, which isn't fun to do from my point of view, but obviously, we wanted to be a good project that the council feels is a good project for the area too, and work with the neighbors around. And one of the questions the council or the commissioners had actually asked on the planning commission was, we did eliminate unit 3 where those 3 spots are and that grass area is now, and they're, why didn't you just make it 2 triplexes, on each side? It was one to accommodate the neighbors. Randy that's here tonight, lives to his personal residence, that kind of backed up towards his personal residence, so it took away a unit from there. Yeah, trying to work with the the neighbors around and have it be a good project for the area. I really, just to reiterate what I'd mentioned last time, I think this is a very unique project for a townhome complex. I think it's almost in between almost a townhome and single-family residential, because it does feature a 2-car garage with each unit, individual private backyards, which, having lived in apartments and townhomes with my wife and things as we were first married, would have been awesome, and so I think it's a good thing for the people that will be living there. I think it's a good project that way. We did add in a lot more parking, and with the the part in the HOA to have 1 car parked in the garage at all times, plus 10 additional visitor spots for 6 units. I really can't foresee parking being an issue for the surrounding neighbors, and so it's one that I feel for the area it's in, where it is a medium high density, which does call in the general plan for townhomes and things of that nature specifically, and the density in the medium high density is 7 to 12 units per acre. With this here, we're at 7.91 acres, so we're right at that low end of the density requirements. I really feel it's a good project, and we're committed to making sure it is a good project for the area. So. Any questions you would have for me, or?
I've got one. Would you be amenable? One of the thoughts I had is you've got your planter strip coming out where you took that unit out in that grass area. What if we were to take that out in the grass area, move that parking up so you've got full parking along here, and then you could also get about another 3 parking stalls similar to what you've got in the back?
Just do it all pavement there?
Uh-huh.
That honestly, I don't have a problem with that.
That gives you an extra 3 more or 4 more parking stalls, and I would be a lot more comfortable with that personally. If you're amenable to it, I don't think it'd cost you any more.
No, I mean,
You may want to put a wall. My thought is that
lands-
you would put a wall along unit 2, so you kind of separate your parking lot from the home.
Yeah, you just extend, because we have a wall going from the back of that unit to the back
Correct.
wall.
So you just run it out.
Extend that forward.
Correct.
I don't have a problem doing that, no. I mean,
All right.
because kind of this whole section up here, as you guys know, I mean, there is existing infrastructure here. There's all the sewer, water lines, everything's run. We've actually had, irrigation lines were rerouted to be run under this road for the neighbors in the area. So there's a ton of infrastructure in place. To accommodate this parking, we already are making a number of changes.
Correct.
So we're in there moving some things around. I wouldn't have a problem with just turning that into parking if that's what you guys would like.
Understand what you're saying, Councilman Turek? I'm not sure I totally have a vision of what you're suggesting.
You want me to stand up?
Sure.
Basically do away with this and the grass area, so you move these 3 parking stalls in across here, and you do some similar parking.
Right against there.
Right against.
Just get rid of the grass area.
Yes. Yeah, but you'd adjust them a little bit because you're taking a planter strip out of there, so you'd adjust those parking stalls along. And then you do some more parking similar to what you've got in the back, so you'd have them parking. Basically, I think you're gonna get at least 3 to 4 extra parking stalls.
Well, these guys still have to back up.
Yeah, but you got the same principle on the other side.
Yeah.
If it works on one side, it ought to work on the other.
Leaving these 3 up front, and then doing pavement kind of on the back side of it too, so you would drive up and around and come down into
You take these
those.
3 and move them right back to here. So you've got this whole parking, and you put parking right here.
Maybe like, you're
So I
thinking
guess
maybe
you
like a
probably
parallel
do
parking
these
because you
guys
couldn't,
So when they go this way, yeah, I'm just.
They're gonna,
Those are back.
Well,
in
but
the
you've got
corner.
the same, so you got the same thing here. You've got parking, and you've got it here, so you've got the same thing that works there, you just pull that same thing, same design to this other side.
I think that it depends on space, so you got a lot wider
Square that
area
corner.
to deal with on the corner than you do in that.
Well, you wouldn't get all 4, you may only get 3 of, instead of 4 like you've done, you can only get 3 of them, but you've
I
got,
see what you're saying, yeah, corner that bottom side off, I see what you're saying.
Maybe get 2 or 3 spots.
I can just see that parking is gonna be, I can tell you, parking is gonna be a premium in this unit. I've been around to some of our others that are similar to this, that have no driveways, and people are parked in the streets, and then they're out into the public streets, and so I guess that's my biggest concern, is that we can
Yeah, I
contain the
think you
parking.
could probably get 2 more, just because looking at, if you did it, to be able to have to back up, I think you have to leave the 3 out here where they are, and then kind of where they go up to right there, do 2 straight coming down this way.
That's,
Yeah, that way we would make it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that,
Still end up with a little bit of grass area.
Grass.
yeah, a little bit of a landscaped area right there.
So that'll give us
12 additional spots.
see, that gives you two to each
So that'd
unit.
give you, yeah,
2 to each
basically
unit.
4
basically getting 4 for each unit on there.
4 spots per unit. I'm okay with that. Yeah, if that's a condition you guys, I don't have a problem honoring that. That's fine. We really do want it to be something that's not causing, burdens for, the area and creating, traffic issues or parking issues that way, so.
Well, I have to say, one thing I do like about this is and I've driven up there, I'm just, as a lot of us have, there is an existing improvement to the property. There's asphalt, there's improvements already there, so I know one of the concerns is that you'd like to see a residential home in here, but this property, where it was already approved as such, it was already built out to a certain extent as such, I think it would be hard to come back in and do just a single-family residential unit. It's almost, as the state of the property is now, it seems to me to make the best sense to continue with the project like this, especially one where the developer's been accommodating enough to lessen the impact as much as possible.
I agree. I mean, from a development, from a standpoint, someone coming in here to build their own home, are they gonna go in there and tear up, all the sewer lines and do all the work? I mean, that's pretty heavy development work, and stuff. So the practicality of someone doing that on their own is
Right.
very slim. So it really takes a developer to do that. And the only way a developer is gonna do it is if there's some reason to do it where it actually makes
But I
some
think
financial sense.
some of the feedback, in addition to the parking from the last time you were before us, is we really want to protect and enhance that downtown as much as possible. And a lot of us think that single-family residential homes do that. Now, I agree with that, but in this case, I think it's the highest and best use of the land. And I went back and read through the minutes of our last meeting, and I also, like I said last time, there are good people that need an affordable home in a good neighborhood. And I gotta think that these are nice enough and big enough homes with garages that people can move in and have a place to live in a good established community. And I think if it's done right, like I believe it will be, it'll elevate the neighborhood. I don't think it'll be a detraction to the neighborhood.
I think so too, and it's one of the things that, along with that point is, this will be, fully landscaped, HOA managed, where we'll have regular, maintenance to the landscape of the area, and that's one of the things that area struggles in. You have, West Garrett built a nice home next door, but it's a dirt patch or a weed patch all around.
Oh, on the corner you're talking?
On the east side. On the west side, you have Randy and his rental property on the
rental
corner.
property there, right.
We've had some chats about it. I mean, the front yard of that is, is weeds as well. So that's the thing. It's, single family is great, but it's, how how does a person keep up their home, you know, and things, and sometimes that can be a struggle, and that is a nice thing with a project like this, is it will have regular maintenance, landscaping, to keep it looking nice and attractive to the area. And I really, you know, we are putting a solid block wall construction, you know, all around the perimeter of the property, you know, which will be, you know, attractive and hopefully a value to the neighbors too. I mean, that's something that we're building exclusive on our own costs, you know, and, you know, Randy down the left-hand side, I mean, that's a nice, expensive wall, you know, where right now there's a wall that's half falling down, you know, so I think it's a nice addition to the area with that. Any other questions you have for me, or?
I can just say we appreciate your willingness to go back and to take our suggestions into account and come in with a new plan and to be so amenable to and flexible even with the added parkings. We appreciate that kind of attitude. Thank you.
No, I appreciate that, and I appreciate your guys' feedback, and yeah, let me know if there's anything else that we need, so, thank you.
Thank you, Lane. Anybody else?
I just wanted to come in because I live...
Rick, can you just say your name for the record?
Okay, Rick Excel.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to come in and say that I was against it. I don't think that we need 6 apartments up there. Because, well, for one thing, 6 apartments like over in St. George, then you'll have probably 12 or 13, 14 families in it. And look at all the cars and stuff. We don't need that travel up there. And I just wanted to say I was against it. Everybody I've talked to in the area is against it. And I brought you a letter from my father-in-law, which owns most of the land right around it. And he's totally against it. So I don't know what more to say.
Okay.
So thanks.
Thank you.
We
Rick.
appreciate your concerns. Thank
Yeah.
you.
You're getting to know me, huh? I'm Randy McDonald. I live in the adjacent area to where the project is. I thought about just backing off and allowing what may happen to happen. And then I got wondering if I could live with the consequences. And I'm not sure that I can just give up, because there's some concerns that I have. As you recall, in one of the meetings that we had, I think it was a city council meeting, they all kind of run together at this point, but there was a gentleman that came over from a project that's across the freeway from it. And I don't think he's within your 300 feet that you mail your things, but he took it upon himself to come over to the meeting and explain what happened to him in the last 5 years of living in a project such as this. And he testified to you guys what his concerns were. And even though this is a smaller one, it seems like they are built and then the developer goes off and sometimes they do it with the best intentions. But ultimately, some of their intentions, and we're all in business to make a profit, but sometimes those intentions leave us with what isn't really the best for our communities. We've got a situation across the street, and I don't know all of the ins and outs about it, but you had a nice brick home, and it had a beautiful yard. And now what have we got over there? Somebody had the intention of building a 3-story building there. It's not what we ended up with, is it? In this area, you know, we're saying we need to have affordable housing. How much affordable housing do we need? You know, you draw a mile radius around this area, And you guys know your city more than I do. How many do we have in a mile radius of this? How much is enough? Do I have to move on the other side of the river in order for me to be able to have a home that I don't have to feel like it's getting encroached on because we have to provide affordable housing to somebody? On the other side of the freeway, that's all that I have is affordable housing. I want a home, and I want to surround it with nice homes. There was a Pioneer home, and that's all that was there before. Now I know the wise thing is to make use of all the improvements there. It's the thing that helps add to the affordability for the developer. But is it the best thing for a community? That's what really matters, because 5 years down the road, we're still going to have it. It doesn't matter if the sewer was there before or the roadways were there. We're going to have it. We're going to have it not 5 years or 10 years, but we're going to have it 15 and 20 years from now, and it's going to be there. And the quality of the home is still going to be there. You go to the other side of that, and a guy did the same thing. He took an existing home, he tore it down, and he built a beautiful home in its place. Something that we could be proud of in that area. People have said that our area is suffering because it's a blighted area, was the word that the Planning Commission used. How is it going to help our area if you continue to build things that isn't going to add to our area? If we're going to change that appearance of our area, we've got to start somewhere. And we can't keep doing this. I appreciate what you guys do in the position you're in. And I know you can't give the thumbs up to everything that comes along here. You can't say, well, Randy, we appreciate that. And you can't pat me on the back and say, well, you know, we'll side with you. I know you can't do that. But I think that you need to start somewhere. Somewhere there's got to be a beginning to where you look at these things and say, we just can't keep doing this.
So do you feel then that the general plan is wrong for that area, that it ought to be a lower density than what it is now in that area?
Well, I think that, can I be real honest with you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Every time I come to one of these meetings, people are coming in and they're asking for a variance. You know, they want to change this to a PUD, or they want to change that. And granted, I'm not here all the time, but it seems like there's more zone changes going on here than people building within what's already set up. And I think that the forefathers of this town had some ideas. They didn't have to be making changes because it suit what was best for the developers, so the developers could make money. You know, and I've got nothing against the developers here. We all need them. And what they do is good. And I've got nothing against Lane. I think he's a great man. And I do appreciate the way that he's handled himself. My hat goes off to him. He's one of the few people that took time to come into my home and explain what he wanted.
And I think we take our hat off to you as well, because you've been very cordial about this. You know, that's what we like about this system, is you can come in, you can state your mind, your piece, your feelings, and that helps all of us evaluate this and see the human element involved with it. And obviously we can't make a decision every time that pleases everybody, or we wouldn't make any decisions. And so, but I want you to know that I appreciate your input. I feel that your input's very heartfelt and sincere, and it's a real issue for you and the neighborhood there. And we have to make those difficult decisions about, okay, on each one, will it fit in or not fit in with the community? And I guess as I hear you talk, you'd like to see most of the higher density on the other side of the freeway where there's already a bunch there right now versus encroaching on this neighborhood and maybe turning it more to what the other side of the freeway looks like.
It's kind of like, if you go to New Jersey, I don't know if you've ever been to New Jersey, but some of the nicest areas are the freeway. And we're just opposite here. We put we put our bad side forward, you know. As people are coming up and down the freeway, all they see is this. And wouldn't it be nice if we had all of our nice things at the freeway? All of our nice homes by the freeway.
It'd be nice if we had nothing but nice homes in the community.
Hey, mine, I consider mine
affordable, nice homes.
But, you know, Lane brought up a point. He says that my fence is all falling down. And he's right. I want to make a point. Why? Because 6 years ago, or in 2006, when that developer came in and they started setting up all this stuff, one of the first things they did is they took a backhoe or a grader of some kind and they hit the fence and they knocked it all down. And then they decided to declare bankruptcy. And that's what I was
You're left
left
with that, yeah.
It had we had not only a wood fence there, but we had a chain link fence. And if you ever go down there, you'll see the chain link fence look like a snake. Yeah, I haven't taken time to fix it because I never know year to year what's going to happen there. But, you know, you could take that same design and use everything that's there, and you could put 3 lots in there with not a lot of problem. You could put a home across the back and one on each side. Yeah, the profit isn't there, but it would work. And it might have to take a couple projects instead of one to make the profit that needs to be done. But anyway, that's I guess what I have to say. And anyway, I do appreciate you guys, and I'm sorry to get so emotionally involved in this, but
We appreciate your input.
I think it's going to impact me a little bit more than it's going to impact you guys.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Randy. Any other comments?
Seeing none, Mayor, I'll make a motion that we close the public hearing.
There's a motion to close the public
I'll
hearing.
second that.
Motion and a second.
Truman, aye.
Staley, aye.
Hudson, aye.
Segmiller, aye.
Turek, aye.
Thank you. So item B, consideration to approve an ordinance adopting a zone change request Z-1304 to change the present zone from R-1-6 to PUD zone. Anybody want to make a motion or?
I'd like to just have a little discussion, Mayor.
Okay.
You all know kind of where I stood on this the last time. I believe that our downtown is precious to us and we need to do something to protect it. I don't believe that high density there is the right answer. I believe that we as a council need to come up with a solution to make it easier for people to build on lots in our downtown and make it more palatable, make it an incentive maybe for them. I believe that our downtown, if you want to buy a home anywhere in the county and you're looking for affordable housing, that our downtown is one of the most affordable places you'll buy. For existing homes that are out there, I think it's our downtown. And I hate to see people who have single-family homes down there feel like they're getting pushed out, that we don't want single-family homes down there. For a lot of people, living by the freeway may not be palatable. They may not like it, but I've lived there right in that area for 15 years. You learn to live with it. You know, it's not that bad once you're there for a while. And so sometimes with anything in life, you take the good with the bad sometimes, and that's part of how you can afford certain things. So my position has not changed in that I believe that higher density in that area is not what we want. So.
Well, and as we're talking about, I agree that we want single-family residential homes in there, but looking at the state of this particular piece, I can't see a better use for the property, and I've seen projects like this work. And I've seen people that can't afford others be able to afford homes like this, and I've seen them keep them nice and add to the community, so. But I do think that it's something that we have to be careful with going forward.
I was gonna say, that's the thing in looking at that with its current zoning of an R16, really, he's only got one extra unit is all he's really getting by going to this, because he could put 5 units on that parcel there. So in all reality, he hasn't increased the zoning but by 1 unit. So I don't see him impacting us a whole lot different than the zoning now existing would do there. I certainly appreciate his willingness to, I mean, dropping a full unit out of there is a pretty good chunk. I mean, it's $160,000 that he's, as he told us what he was going to sell them for prior, he's made a pretty big commitment to try and work with the neighbors and work with us, and I certainly can appreciate that from the developer's point of view, and especially he's taking care of my concerns with the extra parking that's there, because I think there is sufficient parking with the change that's been discussed to accommodate that project now.
Yeah, and I think you try to balance the competing interests, and I can certainly understand the residents' concerns. I've lived in the fields, and we've seen how the fields continue to go down to smaller and smaller and smaller units, and like you, I was here fighting that over and over again, and finally realized that the growth is going to come. Property owners have certain vested rights in their property, and if it's zoned, the general plan is that density, and this is pretty close within that density. We've got individual units with backyards, with adequate parking. I think at that point, you look at the property owner's rights and say, how are we going to balance these? And it probably, in my opinion, weighs on the side of the property owner at this point to bring a nice project in. And I certainly hope that the representations that are made are what we're going to find over the coming years, instead of oftentimes a developer comes in and they disappear and it turns into a rundown, weeded project. So I certainly hope that it continues to stay maintained, if it's improved and looks very nice, and the walls are kept up, and then I think it would actually be a nice piece in that particular area.
Any other discussion? Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll entertain a motion that we approve item 5B, which is an ordinance adopting a zone change request from Z-13-04 to change the present zone from R-16 to PUD zone, with the condition that the parking is changed per Councilman Turek's input.
And can we add that it's up to the developer whether he wants the pop-outs in rock or not on that one?
And that the other condition about the rock pop-outs would be to the builders and developers' discretion.
I'll second the motion.
There's a motion and a second.
Councilman Turek, aye.
Sig Miller, nay.
Hudson, nay.
Staley, aye.
Truman, aye.
Okay, that passes 3-2. Thank you, gentlemen.
Hey, Mayor, just as a reminder to council and maybe to Drew, who I'm sure has this on his calendar in bold, on May 13th, we're going to have some new regulations with Senate Bill HB 88 that went into effect on all of our zone changes. So in the future, anybody that writes in any type of an objection to our zone changes at all, not only does the Planning Commission have to consider those as a part of their process, but then they'll pass them on to us. So I'm hoping by then Drew will probably have a good process and just have each of you have that written objection.
You're talking like these letters.
We got these.
Exactly. In the future, we're going to have to do them, and probably as we do it, just mention, yeah, we've seen this letter and this letter, because that's what the new law states. And from your guys' point of view, all these notices have got to go out 10 days in advance now with the new language on it too.
Well, and I would also suggest, in case it's misunderstood, our Planning Commission, I believe, has always been good about taking into consideration
They have,
written
yes.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question, but we just want to make sure we do it. But the 10 days and the fact that now there's no question that we're the ones that send them out now, as opposed to, I think sometimes at least in conditional use permits, at least in the past, they have been, they may provide the mailing list, but we'll just be more tight on it now because of the new regulations that went into effect, at any rate.
Okay, thank you very much. We shall move on to item 6, resolutions. Consideration for adoption of a resolution of the City Council of Washington City, Utah, authorizing the issuance and confirming the sale of $7,621,000 electric revenue and refunding bonds, Series 2013, and related matters. Where's Alan?
No, I'll take that. I'm sorry, Mayor.
Okay.
That was, Alan didn't anticipate being here tonight, and Denise had asked me the other day if I was going to handle that, and I didn't get back with her in time in order to change that posting. But Kelly, do you want to just pop that screen up if you can? The reason this was tabled in the last meeting was because there was an issue with regards to the surety. One of the things that we try to avoid when possible is a debt service reserve requirement on bonds. That just ties up a whole bunch of money, and its basic purpose is just to ensure that if anything kind of goes into a problem, a default, that the bank or the bondholders have up to a year or a year plus of on our credit rating and the strength of our financials. Do you have the graph? That's the one, yeah. That we would not like to have that. We bid this bond out with no debt service reserve on it, and it was SunTrust who had the winning bid on the interest rate, did not require debt service reserve. However, we have 2 series of bonds that, because of the callable date, were not able to be called, and they still had a debt service requirement on it, but we had replaced the debt service requirement years ago with a surety on it. But what became a little bit of a problem, and this is the reason we tabled it, was that there was some concern in the language on whether the issuance of new bonds would also be governed under that existing covenant language. So our bond counsel, you met him last time, Blake Wade, he worked on that, and actually we got the surety company and the bond group to agreed that is not necessary. So there is no debt service reserve requirement. What Kelly's put up here is basically what we've talked about. Nothing has changed. The resolution that you have before you is reflective of all the numbers we've talked about before. SunTrust was the lowest bidder, and they bid an interest rate of a true interest rate cost of 2.38, or an all-inclusive cost, and an all-inclusive cost includes all of our settling costs and everything, of 2.48. Just to let the public know that that is a refunding of approximately an interest rate that goes from 3.75 to 5% under our 2004 bond. So significant savings with respect to that. So if you can jump back to the graph, Kelly, real quick. So this graph represents the dark blue on the first 2 years are those a series of bonds that can't be refunded. The green represents the refinancing of the existing bond series that can be refunded. And then, of course, our proposal is new money wrap of 2.5 million, that represented by the light blue. Current debt service payments by Washington City is represented by the red line that you see along the top. So basically what we're doing, and what we've talked to the council about, is that right now, if we were to not add new money, we would see a savings because of the refinancing of about $44,000 a year. With the addition of the new money, we of course would absorb the savings plus add another 20 some odd thousand. So we're around 620. I think I got that all right. Anyway, so, and the purpose of this new money, of course, would be put into the establishment of the generation facility, which would bring back home our existing generator engines, or existing generators. And what we're also, which is not reflected in the debt service, is the fact that if we do bring our generators back home, we show a savings on transmission of around $80,000 a year that we're currently paying out for transmission costs. So what happens here with the new money, those are interest-only payments, those top ones, those top small blue ones until whatever date that is over there. And then there's the full payments, are the final 4 solid blue lines. There are no extension of terms on the existing bonds. We cannot do that. So where the green ends is where the original bond terms were. And then we'd just be adding 4 years of final payments on the new money. The savings for the city overall is about $527,000 in net present value, just for the refinancing, and about $456,000 in gross present value. A return of somewhere, a net present return of about 9.68%. Very good. We usually like to see things above 3, so that's extremely good. So we've resolved all the debt service reserve issues. You have the resolutions. They're correct in their entirety, and so that's the action we're looking for tonight, and then we'd close thereafter.
I'm just looking at that. Obviously, I assume the last one is 228 and 229, but why is there a dip in the 2028 in the payments? Ink.
I can show you that on the bond schedule here in just a second.
Okay.
Which page are you on, Kelly?
Last line item, 3/1/2028. If you look at the far right, you see a compounded payment of 1.2 million. That's how that's being reflected in that chart, as 2 separate payments during 2028 of the 624 or 625. So that's.
So both of them in the same year.
And the reason they did that is they needed to hold this to a specific time period in order to for us to qualify for this loan, and if we'd have gone into 2029, it would have put us out of that boundary.
And are we going to have sufficient funds to do that too in the 1 year, the 2 payments?
Yeah, well, we've got.
We're making that.
We have, what is it, 15 years?
Yeah.
15 years to bank
To
that
save
money.
up for the 2 payments?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's about how long it takes in my house, too.
That's for, mine is for $20, I'll take that one. Yeah, yes it did.
Thank you. And any other questions?
Yeah. Any other questions, comments?
It's one of those situations where you try and weigh adding new debt, whether it's a good debt or bad debt. I've gone both ways on it a little bit, but as I look at it and I think about what it brings to us about bringing these generation facilities into our city rather than relying on our neighbors to take care of them and hopefully someday we can use them, I think that the benefits outweigh what my concerns are. So if there's no other discussion, I'll make a motion that we authorize the issuance and confirming the sale of $7,621,000 electric revenue and refunding bonds, Series 2013.
I'll echo your comments and second the motion.
Okay, well, I have a motion and a second.
Truman, aye.
Staley, aye.
Hudson, aye.
Segmiller, aye.
Turek, aye.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. That resolution is passed. Item 7, award of bid and RFP. Item A, consideration to award the bid for the installation of utilities at the proposed generation facility located at 4250 East Telegraph Street.
Kelly, there were just the 3 bidders? Kelly, there were just the 3 bids, is that?
There was actually 5 that had packets, but only 3 submitted bids, so. Before I get into that, I'd like to thank the council for your decision on that. I think it's a wise decision. It's great foresight for long-term planning, and it's good not only for the department, but for the citizens, and I appreciate your support on that. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Is it your recommendation, Kelly, that we take the low bid?
Yes, Sunrock is low bid. You've already seen the document. Low bid was $66,378. That's staff's recommendation, that we accept that. To clarify for the audience, this is for installation of sewer and water infrastructure at the new generation facilities.
Kelly, the only concern I had, and I'm assuming that we used an engineer, and hopefully it's engineer, was the size of your pressurized sewer line only being 1.25 inches. With that size of facility, I wondered, but.
Craig, do you want to address that?
We're just, the sewer's just for the 1 bathroom. It's just, there's only 1 bathroom in that facility, and so the need for the 1.25 on the sewer line is adequate, and with the pump size that we put in.
What about drain, I mean, you're gonna have floor drainage and that type of stuff, I'm assuming that would drain into that same system?
It'll still handle it. I mean, right now out at the park, right by the wash, we have that same system, and it is way oversized compared to what we need, and that's only one bathroom there. We feel like that was plenty to have there. The manufacturer specs handle it that much.
Okay. Well, I assumed that where we used an engineer, they would have looked at that, but I did have a concern there.
Yep, made sure of that.
Okay, any other questions, comments? Want to move forward?
I'll make make a motion that we award the bid for the installation of utilities at the proposed generation facility located at 4250 East Telegraph Street to Sunrock Corporation in the amount of $66,378.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Councilman Turek, aye.
Segmiller, aye.
Hudson, aye.
Staley, aye.
Truman, aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item B, consideration to award the bid for the construction of the fencing for the proposed generation facility located at 4250 East Telegraph Street.
Yeah, on this item, we received two bids, one from Allied Fencing and one from Kirkland Fence. We want to get the fencing in before construction begins to protect the equipment that goes on site and all the other materials. So this was a fairly low bid, but we want to make sure it come back to council as part of the process of the construction of this plant. So we're keeping track through the minutes of all the things that occur here. So staff's recommendation is award the bid to Kirkland Fence in the amount of $22,985.
Any questions for Kelly?
If there's no discussion, I would move that we approve the bid for the fencing in our power yard to Kirkland Fence for $22,985.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Truman, aye.
Staley, aye.
Hudson, aye.
Segmiller, aye.
Turek, aye.
All right, both of those passed.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Kelly. Thank you, council. Item 8, dedications. A, consideration to approve a roadway right-of-way dedication and the issuance of a deed of dedication for property located the far east portion of Indian Springs Drive and north to Seminole Way. Mike Shaw.
Everybody, well, I got one.
He uses it for Angry Birds.
It does. They stick really good to the glass screen. This is just kind of a cleanup. During our 300 East Virgin River Bridge project, we acquired this right of way for the second access into Indian Oaks. So what we're doing is we're actually, the city's the grantor and the grantee on this, but we're basically taking property that we own and just doing a road dedication.
I noticed that there's some work being done out there. What's going on?
The development,
That development was
Indian
bought by-
Knolls.
was bought by-
Indian Knolls is.
Indian Knolls, they're,
So why are they
Developing.
why are they tearing up the road that we just put in?
they're putting water, sewer, all the infrastructure in. They'll be putting all the road back.
How
as part
long,
of
what,
this.
how long's
I
the
gave
road
them
gonna be
30
done?
days.
Oof.
So they're actually doing very good work on it.
Okay.
They're,
It concerns me because part of that, closing down River Edge?
River Edge, yeah.
River Edge was that there was gonna be this secondary access, and now we've shut down that secondary access for an extended period of time, and it raises some big concerns for me, so the quicker they can get it done, the better.
they originally asked for 4 months.
Yeah, there was no way.
So working with the contractor, we did a 30-day with a possible option of extending it 1 week.
Okay.
But they had a certain criteria that they had to meet to even get that 1 week. But I talked with the contractor today, and he thinks he'll be back with an all-weather surface within that 30 days.
Okay.
Some of the concerns that they had, council, just to let you know, is they had to, because of the rock, they were gonna be doing a lot of blasting, because that was, in some of the discussion that I had with them, was keeping traffic flowing and them trying to blast, and it became somewhat of a safety concern with traffic trying to be open and construction, and so I encouraged them to talk with Mike and say, look, can we really shut it completely down just for safety of the residents?
Yeah, the existing roadway where the water and sewer, they have to blast it just to even be able to lay the water and sewer in.
Holy crud. Wow.
And the road we put in there.
We paid
All
for
depends,
that.
if you like playing with dynamite.
It was a
Gotta
road.
dig a new grave today,
It
it could
was
be a good
asphalt.
time.
So when they're done, will there be curb and gutter in there, or will it just be what we had there before, just basically
I
pavement?
think that'll come with their second phase. Their first phase that they believe is this phase here. But they will have this paved back.
Okay.
I don't think they'll have the curb and gutter in until they go to the
But it'll be
next
full
phase.
pavement like it was before.
It will, and we'll actually have a road that actually connects the two.
That'll be really
It'll be a
nice.
full width.
There will be paved curb
Really
and
nice.
gutter, so. And that will help quite a bit with our traffic circulation, have that completed.
So what you're saying is we'll have the neighbors in soon talking about how we're connecting all the traffic now.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah, we're gonna need signs. Put a few stop signs along there, we'll have everything okay.
Everybody knows.
Even if they're not at intersections.
Speed bumps, speed bumps and stop signs.
Speed bumps.
Any other questions on that, John?
Mike, if we do a road dedication, are we able to make demands on the developer? Is it, it's being dedicated as is, but as they come in and do phase two, can we still make demands on them, for example, for improvement of the road itself?
They will be. When they do phase two, they'll basically have to do all the improvements on phase two,
Regardless of the dedication?
regardless of the
Because
dedication.
usually
correct.
don't we make them complete those before we accept the dedication? Correct.
Right. Well, unless they
Yes.
bond for it.
Yes, but they're gonna come in and dedicate even more right-of-way with their dedication for the 60-foot, I believe that's what that road is, master plan.
Okay.
But what we will probably want is, we'll want to get the additional extension on the warranty that we would have had previously when the initial work was done. So we'll get a new warranty, or at least we should get a new warranty for that work going in, if they've got to redo it, even if that's not part of the dedication.
They will, yeah. And I also had them put up a bond on this section of road that they tore out in case they went bankrupt right in the middle of it. I have a bond in place so we can go put the asphalt back in.
Okay. Do we need to make a motion to approve item A?
I'll make a motion that we approve a roadway right-of-way dedication and the issuance of a deed of dedication for property located the far east portion of Indian Springs Drive, then north to Seminole Way.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second.
Truman, I.
Staley, aye.
Hudson, aye.
Sigmiller, aye.
Turek, aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. Item B, consideration to approve a roadway right-of-way dedication, issuance of a deed of dedication for property located along Indian Springs Drive on the south side of parcel W227-1.
And this is
Just the same
basically
thing.
the same thing.
Then I'll make the motion that we approve the roadway right-of-way dedication and the issuance of a deed of dedication for property located along Indian Springs Drive on the south side of parcel W227-1.
Second.
Motion and a second.
Councilman Turek, aye.
Sigmiller, aye.
Hudson, aye.
Staley, aye.
Truman, I.
Thank you again, gentlemen. Consideration, item C, consideration to approve a public utilities and drainage easement dedication and the issuance of these easements on parcel W227-1 located on Indian Springs Drive.
As part of the acquiring the property for the road, this was also a parcel that we had to acquire. And now we're just, as part of this, we're just putting our public utility drainage easements around the parcel, which is just standard practice on all of our lots that we, within the
Council
city.
Starkey, is the proposed matter with that property hasn't been completed yet?
No, in fact, this is part of it, and I want to thank Mike actually for moving forward with the road dedications, because when the title report came back, it came back with a lot of exceptions on a couple of the pieces of property, not our property, that we're providing, that need to be cleaned up before we're gonna finish it out, and that shouldn't be our responsibility to take care of all the encumbrances on a couple of the other parcels. But that's when we also became aware that this had never been dedicated, so I appreciate Mike for getting on it. So he's got it dedicated to us. He's got our road dedicated to us. So we've taken care of the only issue we had on the title report for our property we've now taken care of, so I appreciate that, Mike. And otherwise, I'm gonna
If there's-
run past you the last two things we have, so we can finish out those escrow instructions and
Okay.
maybe pass it along to you as well as the title company, to talk to the other party, the party you know of, just see if that could get moved forward and get them cleaned up.
Mayor, if there's no other discussion, I'll make the motion that we approve a public utilities and drainage easement dedication and the issuance of these easements on the parcel W-227-1 located on Indian Springs Drive, and the parcel is currently owned by the city.
I'll second.
Motion and a second.
Truman, I.
Staley, aye.
Hudson, aye.
Segmiller, aye.
Turek, aye.
Thank you, gentlemen, those pass. Item 9, new business. Any new business?
Nope.
We do have a new business moving in.
Do we?
What's here?
Dickies.
They are?
Barbecue.
Where?
Right by IntelliBed and Home Depot.
Really?
That's great.
Are they moving out of
No,
Bloomington? They're just opening a second location?
Franchise 2.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'll be very happy about that.
Do we,
I like barbecue.
do we have any update at all on the progress of the shooting range
Uh,
of the
I-
hangar?
They're done, aren't they?
We actually have, yeah, we actually have a proposal for a second one as well. So we're changing the theme to Washington as we will eventually shoot things. And so I think it's progressing well, and now the other one's a new one in another location. And I know they met with developer review today. I don't know how much more I'll share on necessarily that, because I don't know how far along they are, but
Where's the first one at?
the first one that's been
Is the
worked on by a
aircraft
couple of
hangar.
council members is the Air Museum.
Hmm.
It'll be a good,
Were you down
good
that way?
place. I don't know, what's the status, exactly where they at in the process?
must
Do you know,
not have been.
Drew? Why don't you come up and give just a status report on that one?
Just quickly, I got a call. They're trying to finish up their conditional use permit, the one at the Air Museum. He had a few questions. I've called him 3 times. I just get his voicemail, so we'll get together here soon. But he had a few items, and the other one, I guess it's okay to say, they've been in and talked to us about it, but their proposal went up in the caves where they had the spook alley.
Oh.
In one of those
Kindle-
burrowed out and
Up above Red Ledge Drive.
is where the other one, and they're preparing their conditional use permit. So I don't know if they both know about each other.
I don't
or
think
not,
they,
but-
I don't think they do, 'cause I think the one proposing the Air Museum contacted me and wanted to know if I'd heard anything, and I said no, so he thought maybe they're just talking about his application, so I don't know if anybody wants to tip him off, or if they're watching
Or they
TV
can
tonight,
watch
they
this
know.
evening.
Well, as soon as I get to talk to him, I'm gonna let him know, hey, you may not be aware, but I've got another group that's looking at putting one
Same
right
thing.
up here, and they're trying to get their condition. They have a lot more issues they're gonna have to deal with, after talking with our fire department and stuff today and our staff
Mhm.
developer this morning. Well, just needless to say, it's in a big hole in,
And they'll-
you know, the side of the mountain, so they're gonna have to do probably a little bit more for, taking care of certain issues in there, ricochet, et cetera, but, actually, both of them have to worry about that, but, there's lots of products out there that can take care of that, but we're just waiting to see who comes in and
Who moves it along, huh?
who moves
Okay.
along, and one of them may back off and don't know.
Hmm.
So,
Have you heard anything more on the pharmacy idea?
I haven't heard a word, and I don't.
I haven't either, Mayor. You heard anything?
Yeah, they're just moving slow. Ray's got to graduate first and stuff, so they're,
And I
Tell
think
'em to hurry.
UDOT's, it's gonna be a process getting through UDOT on this stuff too, still, I think, is.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. One of the issues he had with UDOT, which of course I loved, is we don't currently have a person in that position, so you have to wait till we hire,
Oh,
and that'll
that's
be a
right.
couple
That's
months
right.
down the road.
Nobody else can,
that,
nobody
you
else
just
can
wait
do
on
it.
UDOT too.
But I think the closing date on that was supposed to be soon, so we'll, but yeah, so there's a couple issues with
Yeah,
him.
there's a couple issues.
He just wanted to come and
Yeah.
make sure he can move in the right direction and not have to worry about down the line, so I think, but that'll be a little bit down the road.
Approach you not to purchase the lot?
Yeah, they own
They
that.
don't have any staff person that can sell the lot.
Yeah, and this was
Yeah.
Ray that shared this with me. I mean, I haven't talked to UDOT, but he just said that I don't know if he got the contact information from you, Mike, but I know we helped him try to find some contact information, and they just said it's gonna be a couple months because they've had some vacancy in a position. And he indicated they gotta wait, they told him they have to wait till they hire, and then,
Bureaucracy, quit grabbing another bureaucracy.
Thank you, Drew. We'll move on to item 10, report of officers from assigned committee. Anything, gentlemen, to report?
I have nothing new.
Cotton Days. Cotton Days, starting on Friday, April 26th. The big day is Saturday, April 27th, with the run, the festivities, the parade, relays, car shows, pioneer games, tractor pulls, softball tournament, movie in the park, and of course the field trips and the other evening activities the following week. So come out and enjoy Cotton Days.
Great.
Weddings.
Weddings, competing
Weddings.
weddings.
Saturday evenings are wedding reception at the Truman's house.
Yeah, if you're-
last one, Councilman Sherman?
I've got 4 more.
You got a lot to go.
A lot to go.
I've got 5 to go at least.
Just 5 for me.
Anything else, gentlemen? All right, we'll move on to our city manager report.
And I only have a couple of items that I would just bring to the council's attention. I don't know if you've had the opportunity to drive by the Covington home. Again, we're fast, the parks crew have done a fantastic job in preparing for Cotton Days, because part of what we're going to be doing again is providing tours for the Covington home at Cotton Days. And so the front yard is completely landscaped. We not only want to thank the Parks Department, we've had some great Eagle Scouts. We've had some, I believe the Youth Council's been involved in this, helped us out. We've had just a great bunch of volunteers. And the water feature, the paving, and or not the paving, the pavers, and that in the back will all be completed this next week. I've been assured that it will be done. And kind of like when we finish the community center, if you look at our parks people, they kind of walk around as if the ghost has left them already. They're just bodies, but they've sure done a beautiful job. I hope you all take the opportunity to go up and see that, if not during Cotton Days, but up in the next little while. It is beautiful. It really is. And what is so great is really the neighbors have been wonderful up there. And the neighbors have always been good up there, but they all are just sprucing up their yards. The back door neighbor sprucing up their yard, and we really have good neighbors up there, and we sure appreciate them for that too.
Well,
So
I've had neighbors thank me for being involved with the city and getting it done, so I think they appreciate it. And it does help there. I was there looking at it yesterday, and if you stand on that corner there and look to the south and the east, there's a great display of our sidewalk challenge downtown. On, well, all of the streets except for the Covington home, and there's all sorts of sidewalk issues, and one neighbor's got a long-term trailer park right on the edge of the curb where the sidewalk should be anyway. We still have some issues downtown, but I think that one is progress.
yeah.
And I'd still like to have a more in-depth conversation about how we deal with the sidewalk problem.
Well, and I think from staff's point of view too, this isn't a big thing, but one of the things that we ought to do, Mike, is maybe if we can get Tracy or someone to maybe, I think it'd be a good thing to advertise our grant program, maybe especially coming out of spring, when people may be interested in doing something now. I think we only had the one that took advantage of it last year, and I don't really see us getting run over, and of course, we just have it until we are out. But I certainly think if people would use it, that's certainly a small step in getting where we want to go anyway.
I'd like to see us use it all every year if we could.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's pieces by pieces, but that's progress.
Would it be beneficial to put it in our monthly utility billing, some sort of like a red paper that'll stand out to announce the availability of those funds?
Yeah, we
At
could
least
do
know
that.
it's there, and
Yeah, let's look at that. Let me make
so I'm sure not everybody's watching TV tonight.
Maybe the youth council could just go pass out flyers.
Whatever you'd like them to do, council, that's what we're there to do, serve.
Pass out flyers and pull weeds. As they go out.
I did field a phone call from a pretty excited mom that her daughter made the city youth council.
You know, they had some great youth for the first time. Kind of my dream since we started that council. In years past, we've just had just about the bare bones number apply. This year, I think it was 28 youth.
Really?
Or 29 youth we had apply, and of course, the hard part of that is cutting back to the 18, and that was a challenge, but we let our youth do that. They interviewed them. They make those decisions of the youth that they feel are gonna represent what they want that council to represent, and choose those. And so we're excited for another year to come to a close in May, and we're gonna start another one fresh shortly after that. So.
Just a couple more items, Mayor. I'm meeting actually tomorrow with Barry Blake and Cole Staley. We actually are going to be talking about cemetery expansion and other things. Councilman Staley kind of triggered a thought with me that I think's got some potential, and so I want to visit with them, and then hopefully we can have a discussion with the council on cemetery and some options there that I think, if they could work out, could be of great benefit all the way around to not only our current problem, but also trying to not create other problems as well. And that's always been a little bit of our dilemma with this particular issue. And so I'll update you on that. And then two other quick items is just we were awarded the Community Development Block Grant. If you'll remember, many of you, sometime back, the Aaron Kimball Foundation requested that we sponsor them for $150,000, and we were awarded the $150,000. That just now means a lot of work on our part.
Well, I know they've stalled on their house, though. I know they ran out of money up there.
Yeah, well, they're very excited. I've already gotten the emails from them, and they're whipped right up into a lather.
That's really good news.
And so, as a matter of fact, we're going to probably put the mayor on the road next week, because we got to go to an obligatory meeting in Salt Lake, and it has to be an elected official. Can't be which is.
Anyway, you want to volunteer? It's Tuesday.
I told the mayor that after he gets through at this meeting, which I've sat through, he will think UAMPS is an extremely exciting meeting. And so we're going to put him, that's April 30th, and so we'll be working with him.
So you do the closing at the same time?
No, they won't. They won't. The state, for some reason, the CDBG company won't. Yeah, the CDBG group just doesn't seem to be concerned about our bond closing. So anyway, and then also the final thing is Council Starkey, Drew Ellerman, and I met with St. George, representatives from St. George City today on the airport overlay request. We had a good meeting. I think that some of my earlier concerns are probably not, they're not all that applicable. They actually were very pleased with how the planning had already occurred down in particularly the Stuckey Farms area and those areas that are within that airport vicinity area. One of our concerns, of course, is that many of the developments down there have predated the airport by a long time, starting all the way back with Red Hawk. And so we felt a real obligation to honor those representations, and I don't think that what they're needing at the airport and what I don't think there's any incompatibility there. And so I feel good about that, and Drew is going to begin at least talking. I think an overlay zone, to be honest with you, is the most appropriate thing to have there. But Drew's going to be working with his commission a little bit on that, but I just want to share that with you. We had a good meeting with them, and I don't think that there is anything that we have any real concerns with as far as that. So we'll just move forward on that. I told them it'd take a while. We certainly want to be in compliance with all FAA requirements, both on a health and safety issue, but whether we mirror up to St. George's land use wishes and regulations, we may not do nor even care to, and they understand that, and they're not asking us to do that. I think their big concern was almost alleviated when they saw how we had already done our planning. I think they were concerned that we'd already...
With that area that I know that Councilman Hudson worked real hard with Drew on general plan. Is that the area you're talking about?
Yep,
down there,
yep.
County property for future annexation?
Yes. And we've done navigational, we started putting navigational easements on plats 2 years before the airport was even built. So, I mean, we're pretty well ahead of this. I think that they walked away very happy with the planning we've already done. As a matter of fact, I think they were pleased enough with our planning that they just kind of said, well, you know, then wherever you take this is fine. We think you're going the right direction. So,
including notices that line go of anybody that buys land out there off their plats and stuff that, by the way, there's going to be an airport out here somewhere, and you might get flown over. And that's kind of what they wanted us to do now. I think they were surprised to know that we've been doing it for years already.
I did ask them point blank if we'd be doing Air Force flights through there, and the answer was, well, there had been a request, and it's, but it would be, I mean, I think.
Which group it is.
What's that?
You can say which group it is.
Well, I'm not sure. I think we said the Blue Angels, but.
They confirmed that they thought they'd heard that also.
Yeah, but, so they didn't deny the fact. I think we would still have a little bit of a noise concern with respect to that, but it didn't sound like that was at this point any a probability, but at least they had probably at least talked to them about at least doing a landing and a takeoff once a week through there. So that's kind of where we're at on that. So we were kind of point blank on a few questions with him, so I thought they were pretty upfront. But other than that, Mayor, I think that's all I have.
Thank you. Okay, item 12, adjournment.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second that one.
Motion and a second.
Councilman Turek, aye.
Hudson, aye.
Staley, I
Truman, I.
Gentlemen, thank you.